through KTN.
They were born into a world that couldn't see past their physical appearances. For these children at Kenyatta National Hospital, their physical deformities became the reason they were left behind. Agutu Rosa visited Kenyatta National Hospital and spoke with the hospital staff, who are the caregivers of these children.
At the far end of Ward 3B at Kenyatta National Hospital lies a special room set aside for children abandoned because of physical deformities. When you walk in the room that has 3 baby cots, you're welcomed by curious baby eyes. As innocent as they look, their first interaction with the world was rejection. My name is Agutu Rosa. Baby Mura turned 1 in June. According to a social worker in charge of pediatric services at Kenyatta National Hospital, Emma Karatai, Baby Mura's mother is a Ugandan woman who was working in Kenya as a house help.
She had worked in Matasia as a house help. That's where she met the child's father. But when the child was born with the congenital malformation, the father absconded responsibility and the mother went back to Uganda. So a month later, her mother in Uganda told her to come back to Kenya to look for the child's father to provide support.
Baby Mura was later brought to this hospital by the Ugandan mother. That is when other mothers in the ward noticed some red flags.
She had the initial signs of abandoning this child because the other mothers complained that she would bathe the child with cold water, she would not change the diaper all the time. So when I talked to her, she said she didn't have money to buy diapers and other things to use in the hospital. So we used to send her to the Catholic church here in Kenyatta, where she would be given the soaps, the oils, the diapers and all that. And then a lot of counseling and psychosocial support was done, supporting her, look after the baby and all that. But one time she just disappeared and never came back.
Karatai would later reach out to the baby's father. He came to see the baby and never returned. The phone number the mother gave out has been off since she left the hospital.
So in child protection, in the best interest of the child, we don't force anyone to take the baby. Because if you force them to look after the baby, they can even harm the child. So what you do is that the child stays here, and then maybe work with the children's office, then the child can be put in a safe place. We don't force them. You can support, but you can't force.
Baby Mura has hydrocephalus.
Hydrocephalus is a state of increased fluid in the brain and causing pressure. Okay, the brain is a jelly-like mass. The brain and the spinal cord, and they're in a bag that is full of fluid. And in fact, because it was a cord that's folded on itself, the inside of the brain, is also the space with fluid. So you have fluid in the inside and fluid on the outside. So it creates a very nice cushion against trauma, sudden jarring for the brain and the spinal cord. And then it is now enclosed in a hard box, So the hard box is your head, with the bones there, and the spine are interlocking pieces of bone that allow flexibility of the back, but they also form protection, a cage protecting the spinal cord.
The types of hydrocephalus include communicating hydrocephalus, non-communicating, normal pressure hydrocephalus, congenital hydrocephalus, and hydrocephalus ex vacuo. The symptoms in children include headache, nausea and vomiting, vision problems, and development delays. Hydrocephalus symptoms in adults include headache, nausea and vomiting, vision problems, feeling tired, problems with balance and coordination, and short-term memory. On the left side of the room lies 8-month-old baby Zawadi, whose mother is recorded to be from Kibra area. After giving birth to him at Kenyatta National Hospital and realizing that he was born with spina bifida, she left and never returned.
He was born here. We talked with the mother. The mother is in Kibra. Called her to come and look after the baby. In church, she was saying she can't afford. She can't afford to bring up a child who is challenged. So, to a point of telling her that the child is going to be mentally okay, the child's mental development is okay, the child is going to be physically challenged. She didn't want to come, and then we don't force.
Spinal bifida is when those bones of the spine don't form properly. They don't close. They don't form a perfect enclosure, and so there's leakage. It allows for leakage of the CSF, and if I part of the brain, there's the spinal cord, and the brain can even just sort of herniate of the where there are gaps. It's most common in the lower spine, the lumbar spine, but you can also have a situation where you don't have the bones of your cranium, so the brain doesn't have a body cover over it.
The risk factors of spina bifida include lack of enough folic acid, family history of neural tube defects, certain type of medications, conditions like diabetes or obesity, high fever or overheat during early pregnancy. The complications include difficulty in walking, orthopedic complications, bowel and bladder symptoms, and buildup of fluid in the brain. Directly opposite Zawadi is another baby boy called baby Cassandra. Since the mother had not named him yet, they gave her name. He's 1 year old and also born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. He has casts on his feet, meant to gradually correct the abnormal position by stretching and holding the feet in a corrected alignment.
I was born here, and with hydrocephalus, spina bifida. I called the next of kin, who was supposed to be the child's mother's auntie. And of course, when I was asking her, do you know this family? Of course, she said she knew them and she would call them to come to Kenyatta. So I called so many times, then I gave up.
For Nurse Jane Jambi Ngugi, caring for these fallen and abandoned angels is everything a mother would do.
You take the vitals, then you do the bathing, then you do the feeding. Feeding is done every 3 hours. So it is your duty to know when you feed at 9, at 12 you are there to check. You feed again. The feeds are written by the nutritionist, depending on the needs of the baby, because the babies have different weights. So the babies are fed depending on the weight, and then when you feed, you always note if there are any problem with feeding. Are they finishing the feeds as written by the nutritionist? If they are not feeding, if they are not finishing, what is the problem in between? Then the nutritionist comes in.
To avoid bed sores, the nurses make rounds every 2 hours to turn them.
When you take vitals, because these are the children with no mothers, it is you to check. Are there fevers? Is the baby retaining feeds? Is the baby having diarrhea? You can in between, like a mother, the way a mother reports that this baby has, I've noted this baby is not retaining feeds, this baby has diarrhea, then the treatment is written, and we are the custodian.
The babies need physiotherapy and occupational therapy because they have to be taught to use their muscles.
So what we do is that within the hospital, we report the matter to the police post. We have a Kenyatta police post. The matter is reported through the hospital security system, and then our OB number is issued and it's put in the patient file. Then we use the same comprehensive family socioeconomic assessment to inform the children's department. to informing the office that the child is abandoned and is in need of care and protection. And for those children who are okay, they don't have any congenital malformations, they are admitted to children's homes. Unfortunately, the children who have malformations like spina bifida, hydrocephalus, they will not be admitted to any home. So most of them tend to overstay in the hospital.
Whenever adults are abandoned, the facility uses fingerprints and liaises with the National Registration Bureau for identification. But for children whose details are not registered anywhere, it becomes a challenge. So, how do these children get to the hospital?
It is the same, some by the police, some by good well-wishers. But then we also have mothers who come, maybe they are underage, or maybe a mother who has other children, and they feel like they are not able to take care of an extra child. Then they just abandon. They give us fake information, and at one point they just abscond from the hospital and they leave the babies. So we take about maybe a month. We try to contact the relatives. If we are not able to, then we go through the children's office and we are able to place them in a safe children's homes.
Between January and June this year, 18 children had been abandoned at Kenyatta National Hospital. So far, 15 have been placed in different homes. As newborns come and go, others admitted and discharged, the 3 still waiting for rescue, recognition, acceptance, and most of all, waiting to be loved. Agutu Rosa, KTN.